You mentioned that a lot of the apps might be basically made obsolete. You think agents will just transform the entire app market?
Yeah. I noticed that on Discord, the people just said how they like what they build and what they use it for. And like, why do you need MyFitnessPal when the agent already knows where I am? So it can assume that I make bad decisions when I'm at, I don't know, Waffle House, what's around here? or briskets in Austin.
There's no bad decisions around briskets, but yeah.
No, that's the best decision, honestly.
Your agent should know that.
But it can modify my gym workout based on how well I slept, or if I have stress or not. Like, it has so much more context to make even better decisions than any of those apps even could do.
Mm-hmm.
It could show me UI just as I like. Why do I still need an app to do that? Why should I pay another subscription for something that the agent can just do now? And why do I need my 8 Sleep app to control my bed when I can tell the agent to? No, the agent already knows where I am, so it can like turn off what I don't use.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will translate into a whole category of apps that are no longer, I will just naturally stop using because my agent can just do it better.
I think you said somewhere that it might kill off 80% of apps.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's a gigantic transformative effect on just all software development? That means it might kill off a lot of software companies.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing. So, like, do you think about the impact that has on the economy, on just the ripple effects it has through society, transforming who builds what tooling? It empowers a lot of users to get stuff done, to get stuff more efficiently, to get it done cheaper.
There's also new services that we will need, right? For example, I want my agent to have an allowance. Like, you solve problems for me, here's like $100 in order to solve problems for me. And if I tell it to order me food, maybe it uses a service. Maybe it uses something like rent a human to like just get that done for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually care. I care about solve my problem. There's space for new companies that solve that well. Maybe not all apps disappear. Maybe some transform into being API.
So basically apps that rapidly transform in being agent facing. So there's a real opportunity for like Uber Eats that we just used earlier today. It's companies like this, of which there's many. Who gets there fastest to being able to interact with OpenClaw in a way that's the most natural, the easiest?
Yeah. And also, apps will become API if they want or not, because my agent can figure out how to use my phone. I mean, on the Apple side, it's a little more tricky. On Android, people already do that. And then it will just click the order Uber for me button for me. Or maybe another service. Or maybe there's an API I can call, so it's faster. I think that's a space we're just beginning to even understand what that means. And that was not something I thought of, something that I discovered as people use this. I mean, we are still so early. But yeah, I think data is very important, like apps that can give me data, but that also can be API. Why do I need the Sonos app anymore when my agent can talk to the Sonos speakers directly? Like my cameras, there's like a crappy app, but they have an API, so my agent uses the API now.
So it's going to force a lot of companies to have to shift focus. And it's kind of what the internet did, right? You have to rapidly rethink, reconfigure what you're selling, how you're making money.
Yeah, and some companies will really not like that. For example, there's no CLI for Google. So I had to do anything myself. and build GOG. That's like a CLI for Google. And at the end user, they have to give me the emails because otherwise I cannot use their product. If I'm a company and I try to get Google data, Gmail, there's a whole complicated process to the point where sometimes startups acquire startups that went through that process, so they don't have to work with Google for half a year to be certified to being able to access Gmail. But my agent can access Gmail because I can just connect to it. It's still crappy because I need to go through Google's developer jungle to get a key, and it's still annoying, but they cannot prevent me. And worst case, my agent just clicks on the website and gets the data out that way.
Through browser use.
Yeah, I mean, I watch my agent happily click the "I'm not a robot" button. And there's this whole that's gonna be more heated. You see companies like Cloudflare that try to prevent bot access, and in some ways that's useful for scraping, but in other ways, if I'm a personal user, I want that. Sometimes I use Codex and I read an article about modern React patterns, and it's like a Medium article. I paste it in and the agent can't read it because they block it. So I have to copy paste the actual text. Or in the future, I learned that maybe I don't click on Medium because it's annoying, and I use other websites that actually are agent friendly. So
there's going to be a lot of powerful, rich companies fighting back. So it's really interesting. You're at the center. You're the catalyst, the leader, and happen to be at the center of this kind of revolution where it's going to completely change how we interact with services, with the web. And so, there's companies like Google, they're going to push back. I mean, there's every major company you can think of is going to push back.
Even search. I now use, I think, Perplexity or Brave as providers because Google really doesn't make it easy to use Google without Google. I'm not sure if that's the right strategy, but I'm not Google.
Yeah, there's a nice balance from a big company perspective, because if you push back too much for too long, you become Blockbuster and you lose everything to the Netflixes of the world. But some pushback is probably good during a revolution to see.
But you see that this is something that the people want.
Right.
So
yes,
if I'm on the go, I don't want to open a calendar app. I want to tell my agent, hey, remind me about this dinner tomorrow night, and maybe invite two of my friends, and then maybe send a WhatsApp message to my friend. And I don't want a need to open apps for that. I think that we passed that age, and now everything is much more connected and fluid if those companies want it or not. And I think the right companies will find ways to jump on the train, and other companies will perish.